Do you want to go in the car? Do you want to go to the racetrack?
Reto Baumann, team owner and principal as well as driver on Red Panther Motorsport. I'm responsible together with Marion Engelke to do marketing and social media between the race weekends, but also during race weekends when I'm driving and Marion has free time and is not driving herself, then she actually takes over that responsibility to do videos, pictures, etc. But then at the same token, organizing the race weekends, but then also organizing the hospitality, the food, the drinks, etc. Making sure that everything is ready for the mechanics. After every race weekend, for example, I have a chat with every single mechanic to see what we can improve, what we can change, what we can do better, and try to basically implement that for the next race weekends. Preparation for Sonoma wasn't any different than any other race weekend. With our sponsor CR30 Motorsports, we have been working on the tune of the car, of my race car, for quite a while, to hone that in, to basically, well, nothing is ever perfect, but to get it as perfect as possible, and to extract the most out of the package that we have. Load in Friday morning early, setting up, go out for first practice. I think for us in our group that was around 10:30, 11ish. That was the first session. That went reasonably well for 4 or 5 laps until we had that turbo hose issue.
Chris Hovey, crew chief, Red Panther Motorsports. Plenty of experience. Started racing in '74, if I remember correctly. Started with the US touring car in their first or second year. I can't even remember what year that was. Yeah, so we were gonna test on Friday. We got there Friday morning, I believe. Started setting up and stuff, and we're gonna do some testing Friday afternoon. And we went out on older tires and stuff. First run, we had to try out some new brake pads and a new tune and some new shifting stuff with the transmission. And the car was a bit faster than it had been, and the tires were probably a little bit too old, and there was some stuff on the track, and we got in the wall.
Then last session of the day, when we had everything together, I am on my second lap, old tires, and somebody blows an engine. I am the first car coming into turn 8 and turning in, and the back end steps out. And once you're there in turn 8, there's only a wall on the side. Sonoma is a very, very technical track, but it's also a high risk track, yeah, because you don't have a lot of runoff, and with just 10 feet of grass besides the racetrack and the wall, there's not much that you can do at something like 90 miles an hour or so when the back end then steps out. So we graced the wall. We got some damage, cosmetic damage, pretty much, to the right side of the car, and we had to straighten one piece of the suspension, but that was it. So we were lucky in that respect. It was a little bit of work for the team and for everyone, but we got the car out again that day, and we were ready to go practicing and qualifying on Saturday morning.
My name's Dave Brown. I'm the team manager here at RPM, Red Panther Motorsports. So as a team manager, I have the opportunity to have my paws in a lot of different things, and yet, unfortunately, not quite deep enough to actually be very effective. But seriously, there's a lot of stuff going on with a race team on a race weekend. And that takes obviously a bunch of people doing their job, but also a lot of coordination. So I try and help, prior to the race and throughout the race weekend. I'm the head gopher when I need to be, and in addition to that, I try and help allocate resources appropriately to all of our participants, all the folks driving the cars. And then I work with the drivers from a coaching perspective. I've been involved in U.S. touring car for 20 years or so now. Got a couple of championships under the belt, so I kind of been with this group of folks for a while. I know what it takes to compete and win here, and it's really fun to work with a fairly fresh team. And Sonoma is one of the most technically difficult tracks in the country. Even the straightaways aren't straight at Sonoma. So I was, born and raised there from a racing perspective. I went to driver school there. It's the first track I ever drove around. So I've got 10,000 plus laps around Sonoma. And I have those laps in a diversity of cars. So, passing on that knowledge and seeing where people are struggling and helping them improve is pretty fun. So, I got what I call the Dave Brown super secret squirrel lines that I share with some key members of the team. So that's what I was doing that day, was giving Rob there's a couple of areas where, and it is with a lot of drivers and a lot of tracks that, you could be anywhere. Where should I be in turn 10? Should I be here? Should I be there? Should I be there? So giving him those secret squirrel lines, like put it here or put it there, not in between.
Can you see my USTCC, my red? I'm Rob Harper, and I am a driver of the 2.8 Corvette and the 2.8 BMW 335i in the GT class. I race with Red Panther Motorsport, and we are competing for the United States Touring Car Championship for the 2021 GT class. Probably Sonoma was one of the fewer of the dramatic events in racing. And I think at that time we had a broken splitter coming off on the track, and mad vibrations just because we had hit some pretty high speeds, down back stretch, front stretch. And we thought that the entire drivetrain was coming apart, but in fact, it was just the front splitter that was oscillating up and down and creating, just horrendous vibrations in the car. So when we pulled off the track, we noticed that half of it was on the ground, some of it was connected to the car still, and the rest was probably in other people's front grille.
I actually saw from behind. No. From behind, I saw something flapping the whole time like that, but I did not know what it is. It's not breaking out. It's not fishtailing. Nothing. So yesterday it was fishtailing the whole time, every turn. So it's not that much, but it makes a big difference. Okay.
we do experimenting with brake pad compounds for one of our sponsors, Sparta. And we're trying some stuff, and they're constantly making new stuff, and try this and try that. And we'll give them, our car has a lot of data recording features in it, and we'll give them all kinds of data back. And we had a set on there that he didn't like the feel of. So we swapped brake pads whenever, what time of day or whatever it was. And we're back on a set that we've used a lot previously. And then he was happy again, more comfortable in the car. We could record the brake amount of brake pressure, when the brake's applied, the speed, how fast the car slows down, the amount of G-force it slows down, and all this stuff. And that's what the brake manufacturers kind of want to see, how hard you got to push on the pedal to make it slow down this fast. So they're constantly trying different compounds and whatnot. And with the drivers, generally it's a seat of the pants feeling, and if they don't like it, they're not going to go fast. So they got to like it. It really helps us get more sponsored parts so that we don't have to buy them. And depending on what kind of data you're looking at, it does help in the long run. Generally, the driver can tell on the brake pads, but other aspects like how the engine's running, or if the car isn't holding as many G's in a corner as it used to or whatnot. Sometimes they can't feel that, so we could pick that up and, well, we better go back to where it was, or it got better, let's try a little bit more. And so the data thing really helps you keep progressing.
Hi, I'm Beau Borders, and for this weekend's race at Sonoma, I'll be driving the Red Panther Motorsports Spec Mustang. So for the 2021 season, I was doing some other races and some other series. Obviously COVID has just affected everybody, so it just kind of like turned everything upside down. And so I thought that it would be, I really wanted to align myself with Red Panther Motorsports and get back with all my US touring friends. And so we took my Spec Mustang, retrofitted for US touring, and my first race is, I think it's the third race of the season. I don't want to ring my own bell, but it's just kind of funny. I wanted to run the whole season, but the first race was the same night as the British Academy Awards, which I was lucky enough to be nominated for. The second race was the same night as the Academy Awards, which I was lucky enough to be nominated for. Didn't win either one of them, so maybe I should have just gone to the US touring car race, but what can you do? She had to order dresses online because you can't go into a store and try dresses on, right? So obviously you're going to order more than one to try them on. How many dresses do you think Emma ordered to try on? 10. 7. 15. 15. 32. How many do you think? How many dresses do you think my girlfriend ordered to try on for the Oscars? 30. 45. A box of 45 dresses showed up. She tried on every one of them.
I'm just saying I was the closest without going over.
Yeah, you were. And you don't even know Emma.
Flag will, the standing start procedure, of course, is you go out, you do a lap, warm up your tires, warm up your car, and you come to a stop. All the cars will stop. The green flag goes up. You hold it for roughly 5 seconds, and you go and drop. So if he jiggles it, don't go. So you go in the drop. We have a
First session, we talked about a couple of those things. The cookies we're gonna put out after.
I think I ran the practice that weekend also, and we were fighting a little bit of boost issues with the turbo. We have a large turbo on the car, but overall, I wasn't really worried about it. I didn't feel like the competition that was present at that race was really going to compete at like a super high level. I believe I might have been one of only 2 cars that were in the GT class, so we weren't sweating it. If we're down on power, no big deal. We were just going to race, the best we could and take the points and run off to the next, race series. So it wasn't a big deal. We just wanted to get on the line and finish the race. That's the name of the game for this season, is to finish every single race. And so far we've done so, on the podium. So we're good there.
Practice session went well. That was not an issue. Qualifying went well as well. We qualified second. So we were actually on a good path, and the other part was that we got faster and faster every single practice. So we were actually cautiously optimistic for Sunday.
Because this is the first time putting hand cooks on the car, we had to do some pretty radical setup changes, and the team really just knew what to do, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, as soon as the hand cooks came up to temperature, they were super consistent. We were super quick. I was ripping off laps quicker than a Spec Mustang has ever gone at this track. So we were at the top of the charts in the practice sessions, and same with qualifying. We ran out there and just ran everybody down. Had a really, really great qualifying run, put the car on pole, and now we're looking forward to a great race.
On the team, we have spotters, which are an extra set of eyes for the driver. They watch out for any trouble and warn the driver. But it's also good to have some encouragement as a driver. I know that from being in the seat. You don't want too much banter and too much distraction, but having somebody give you some tips and remind you of things that you're supposed to be working on, and then obviously give you some encouragement is always helpful. So I try to be as quiet as possible on the radio and let the spotters do their job and work with their operators, with their drivers. But then I'll butt in every now and then, and I can't help myself. So for Reto, we were really working on the S's, turn 8, 8A, that section. Is a critical section. It's really dangerous. If you get it wrong, it can be a big problem. And getting it right can equate to a heck of a lot of speed all the way down the hill and down into turn 10 and turn 11. So that was an area that we were focusing on with Reto all that weekend, and making sure, number one, he was safe, and number two, he was fast. So he was doing great. We made a lot of progress in turn 8 with Reto that weekend. Rob, we were working on turn 11, which is, it's kind of a corner that's, what do you do a lot of stuff here or not? It's a short little corner, but it's critical exit to get down that big front straightaway, which isn't really straight, but it's a critical corner to get right, even though it seems very short. And he was just struggling a little bit on where to be in that corner. So I gave him some options there, and we worked and focused on that area for Rob. So each of them, you don't want to give too many things to work on, you get confused, right? So you pick like 2, maybe 3 corners to work on, and then really focus on that. The competence bar is always moving. It's always going up. If you're not getting better, the other guy is. So, all these guys are talented drivers. They've been driving for a while already. And now at this level, they're gonna have to work harder, and they're gonna have to continue to improve. And it gets tough to find speed, and you need different perspectives. And so I hope that I offer those different perspectives to the guys and give them an edge that they otherwise wouldn't have that input from, you know.
It kind of feels like a lower gear gives you more, just like from the sound of it.
That's because now it will rev higher.
Yeah, exactly.
You should use some of that.
Yeah. So
It'll go way higher than that red light on it.
yeah. So it's something that we have to analyze.
just
We
gonna-
have to look at the data. This is the first week I've with this new tune,
It's
and
going to take a while.
I don't find the right gear for some of the corners yet.
Right.
I don't know which one.
So used to the
Yeah,
that this is not going to come easy, but once you get it,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm just struggling a bit with the gear selection.
let me down for this.
And then comes the race. And we go out for the warm-up lap, and I realize on the warm-up lap that halfway into that lap, we somehow have lost power. We didn't have the same power anymore. Couldn't get the boost, and I actually heard that the boost bypassed the hose somewhere. And yeah, there was due to an incident on track, there was a second warm-up lap that had to be done. So we decided to take that warm-up lap and test a few things out. Been on the radio with our mechanics and the crew chief, but ultimately, for security reason and everything, we then pulled off into the pits after the before we went to the starting grid.
Taking names, that's what that is. That was good times out there. Woo! All right.
I like it in here. It's a fine
It's so patriotic. It's looking good. It's where it belongs. She's so pretty. Oh, that was just fun. You know, when things go right and it's just driving, you're not sweating, you're just chilling, you're like, man, that was a good line. That was a good line.
Qualifying lap
That's all
after
it
lap
was.
after
And
lap.
I'll bet you it was faster than if I was race pace.
You ran in 50s the whole time.
Solid, that's all you need.
Flat on 150 the whole time. Every lap.
All you need.
All I could ask for.
Just put the cars in the back. I'm like, that's fine. We'll keep that distance. There's no
Yep.
point in going for broke.
Yeah.
I mean, those tires, those are good for another qualifying session. I didn't burn through them. Brakes were never faded. Temperature never got past 230 maybe. It was great.
Tires never gave up.
Never, not even a bit. I mean, if I had to push it at the end, I had to have 100% confidence in the grip. Never had that before. So the Corvette, I'm always ass slidey, you know, at the end of the race because they just use so much. But no, it was like on rails the whole way. And I feel if I had to tune that, torque it up a little bit, you could have handled it perfectly.
Take it.
Mhm.
Good. We got more tire to go if we need it.
Oh yeah, quite a bit. And that's with a smaller rear. I think you go with like a 315 on there. That's a little more rubber to keep the heat dissipated. I wish we would have taken measurements of it, taken the temperatures. I wouldn't mess with the alignment anyway. Even if it told us something different, I'm like, there's no way. The turn-in's good. The understeer was excellent, by the way. It was just all about slowing down.
And look at that. It's so easy. We're just in victory circle now. How'd that happen?
We, Red Panther, won.
most of us won. 2 out of 3 of us won. But you know, hey, that's better than some other weekends. But yeah, it was a good race. I was actually racing with a bunch of guys that were in a quicker class, so that was a lot of fun. I had our class cars in my mirrors the whole time, but they never quite caught up, and then the race was shortened because of the thing that happened at the start. But I'm not going to complain because this thing is got all its original parts still attached to it from the beginning of the weekend, so we're okay with that.
From that weekend, I think it just showed how race cars and race teams are just in a constant state of development. and some of that, you know, when you're experimenting, developing and learning, some of it goes right and some of it goes wrong. And you know, we had our struggles that weekend. We had, you know, some teething problems with different aspects of the cars. We had cars that, you know, did extremely well and were nice all weekend. We had other cars that are, you know, in some state of significant development that were mad at us. So, but the team, you know, that's what the guys like to do. You know, it's, if everything ran all the time, it was all great, and you know, we just sat around drinking iced tea all weekend, it'd get pretty boring. So the mechanics and the team, and yeah, although we complain and yeah, it's hard work, you know, that's what really pulls the team together, and that's what really makes it fun for the guys that are doing the work, and that's why they're good at it. That's why we love them doing it. Is they can fix anything, and the cars, like I said, they're in a constant state of development. If you're not improving your stuff, the other guys are, and they're just gonna beat you. So we can't have that.
Excellent.
Thank you.